Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. I'm going to just give it like maybe one more minute for people to arrive, and then I will do my official everything. All right. Welcome to Health Equity in Action, Libraries, Communities, Opportunities, a summit hosted by the American Library Association's Social Responsibility Roundtable, or SRRT, as we're known. SRRT believes that libraries and librarians must center social responsibility by recognizing and helping to solve social problems and inequities to work for the common good. My name is Julianne Winkelstein, and I'm the moderator for this session. I'm the co-coordinator for the CERT's Hunger, Homelessness, and Poverty Task Force, and on the CERT Programming Committee, which is what created this program. I'm joined by Alicia Collenbell, who will be monitoring this chat, and April Shepard, who is our tech person for this session. To enable captions, please click More in the bottom right of the screen and then click Show Captions. We are asking our attendees to turn off their AI for our sessions. There have been some concerns about that. If you are using AI for an accessibility need or you have questions about this, please reach out to me privately in the chat or via email. Our session today will be recorded, and the recording will be available on our website within a few weeks. And this session focuses on centering lived experience through partnership, storytelling, and an innovative programming. We are joined by Jamal Smart, writer and director of Behind the Joy, Tim Smith, executive producer of The Calling, and Luckson. Okay, I got this pronunciation. I have to read it off slowly. Luckson, Omoaregba.
You got it.
Got it?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. It's probably you don't say it quite that slowly when you say it. And Kiera, oh, I forgot to ask you about your last name, O'Shea.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Forgot about that part. JD, research assistant with the Center for Civil Rights History and Research at University of California. The,
South Carolina.
oh, sorry. I live near the University of, sorry, I've got a message on my screen I have to get rid of. Yes, University of South Carolina. Yes,
Yes,
not
ma'am.
Carolina, not full presenter bios are available on our website, and we'll be taking questions for the panelists after all the presentations. Please use the Q&A to post your questions, and use the chat to talk about any tech issues that you're having, to share resources, or to appreciate our panelists. So now we're going to go on and start, and we're going to start with Jamal, and I will turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamal Smart. I'm the writer director of a movie called Behind the Joy, a movie that centers around postpartum depression. And I have a slide that I'm showing. Can everyone see my screen? So this movie was sprung to me out of a passion project, and it grew bigger than I initially thought. So I wanted to make this summit, this panel about using film to advance maternal mental health equality. So who am I? My name is Jamal Smart. I began my story with a camera in a hand, shooting music videos for my cousin, thinking world star hip hop was the pinnacle. But throughout the world, throughout my years, I've been on sets with BET, JFK, and VH1 doing fashion campaigns, but I never felt fulfilled. Being a young father, I had my daughter, I was 16. I think she was like 2 years old. I was 18 years old. And I can't show her like, those music videos I've been shooting within the hood and stuff like that. So I wanted to make something that can, affect her. So this film is a narrative that explores postpartum depression that impacts a Black family. This is told through the lens of both a mother and her partner. The film highlights emotional, psychological, and physical challenges that often go unspoken while shedding light on stigmas, lack of support, and the gaps in maternal mental health care in underserved communities. Postpartum depression affects approximately 1 out of 7 mothers, yet many cases go untreated because people choose to suffer in silence. So the symptoms can include anxiety, mood swing, detachment, feeling of being overwhelmed, which can impact not only the mother but the entire family dynamic. And through storytelling, this film brings visibility to these realities, helping the audience better understand the importance of early support and open dialogue and access to cultural content care. And these are the places. So the top left is the Earth app, and I did a Queens premiere, and I had Northwest Forest Hills involved, Fidelis Care, the Postpartum Resource Center of New York, York College. The second picture is at the Suffolk Maternal Task Force. The third picture on the top right is me and the CEO of the Postpartum Resource Center in New York. These are my little cousins. You know, you have to use your little cousins for free work. You know, even though I paid them $50 each, it was still expensive. And this, the middle picture down the middle, this was the world premiere. I had March 14th. I had about 300 over 300 people come out and see the movie. And the last to the right was me at the YMCA showcase a scene in the film. And the tagline of the film is asking for help is a seek towards joy. So the origin and the personal impact. As you know, I had my first child, my first and only child when I was 16, and it gave me a level of exposure and the just to be me being a father so young, a lot of people, a lot of women, a lot of people in my community were telling me how they don't feel connected to their child and how they don't, they just have bad thoughts. And when I started writing the film, I did a case study of about 30 women who went through postpartum, and I used their stories to put into this film. And a lot of women they felt the body dysmorphia, they felt the guilt, they felt a lot of things. And me being a photographer, videographer so long, I took this on as to be a passion project. I wrote the film, I self-funded it, I directed it, I cast it, I shot it, I edited, I did everything under the sun to get this film made the way I envision. And the community aspect of this film is I'm at the age, I'm 33 right now. I'm at the age where I'm the new uncle. And I cannot afford to take these kids to Split Splash, Adventureland, Disney World. So I wanted to make an event where we can all come together because most of the time we see each other is at funerals. So I wanted to create like a big event so we can take the picture, the red carpet, and that's what the movie premiere was centered by. And these are the partners I've done. I've worked with Nassau County Maternal Mental Health, Suffolk County, um, the Black Maternal Wellness Collective, Fidelis Care, Northwell, Stony Brook, the colleges. And I think my biggest screening I've done so far, I've done a screening at Rikers Island and I showed it to the women's prison, and I was able to receive a certificate of recognition for that screening. And another screening, I'm not trying to plug in my own library, but um, I done a panel at Port Jefferson Free Library, and it was able to just spread the message further, where I had doulas, OBGYNs come at the library, and I guess they come full circle for me to be here to express that. And yes, this was the cast, some of the cast members on the left, and these are my free workers, which is my nieces, and this was at Stony Brook on the right. And my mission is this is a love letter to all the mothers who have faced or are facing postpartum depression. Raising a child is a community effort and not be a burden to someone bear alone. If this narrative inspires one person to find courage to seek help, then I achieve my goal. And you can contact me here at info at Behind the Joy or go to the website behindthejoy.com. And together we are going to watch a scene of the movie. So everyone get your popcorn, dim the lights, and we're gonna get into this.
I feel like I'm going crazy. Bringing a child into this world is tough on everyone, physically and mentally.
What's going on with you? Ever since you came back from the hospital, you ain't been to sleep. Naomi, you left me on the middle, on a coffee table in the middle of the living room.
I'm starting to believe postpartum depression is really bad.
No, bro, that stuff is not real. The nurse is trying to say something like that. My mom never went through anything like that.
John, I need you to hear Naomi because there's going to come a time that you will not be able to hear the Naomi that you know and love anymore.
You wanted to what?
Hey. I'm good, I'm bad. I be trying to come around and swing my way. The girl you looking for, she ain't the same. I hear you doubling back. This now that I'm moving like that, moving like that. Girl, glow, she's gone. I hear you doubling. Why is she walking back and forth like that? Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey, girlie. How are you? I'm good. Where's the baby? Grandma's house. Okay. Oh, I wanted to see the baby. Look at you. Look that way. Turn around. Okay. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you too. Yes, absolutely. You're great. Super excited.
Take off your shoes. John's OCD has been on level 10 lately.
Oh my God, he's like that now?
Yes, if everything is not a certain way, then he will have some sassy attitude.
Yeah, he said he'd been acting strange lately.
What else has he told you?
That you haven't been yourself.
What else has he been telling you about me?
That's all he told me. You've been acting strange, calling my phone like, girl, come get your friend. Girl, that better not be one of your sitting pillows. So how is motherhood?
It's amazing. I have so many emotions.
That's good. That's good. It must be tough. I know what it's like being bald and chained to a baby. You like to be outside.
Not too much, not too much.
But I'm glad you're having a good experience. My first baby was easy, but the second one, girl, I couldn't even get a break. All I heard was baby this, baby that.
Yeah, it can be mentally draining.
Girl, who are you telling? But I'm glad they aren't driving me crazy now. And you know, the younger one the other day was acting as if they.
Have you ever thought of hurting yourself?
Girl, what?
Girl, I'm joking.
I almost took you serious. I was gonna tell them they better come get that child or I'll call. But in all seriousness, is everything okay?
Everything's okay. I'm just.
You're just. Listen, I know it's tough right now, but you can get through this.
I know. I'm just.
It's normal.
I feel like I'm going crazy. I just don't feel. I don't get any sleep. I don't have any time for myself or anything. I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Daylight saving time's got me messed up too.
The other night, before John went to work, he fed the baby, changed her, he bathed her. And I thought, let me hop in the shower real quick before he leaves. When I went to grab my PJs, I saw them. Him giving her all these kisses, all these hugs, being, just being so connected. Anyway, as I turn on the shower, I hear the door slam and baby starts crying. So I run out of the shower, butt naked, trying to see what's wrong. I rocked her. I checked her diaper. I tried to feed her, but she wouldn't latch to me. Did this, did that, did everything. Nothing worked. Went to the bathroom, grabbed a towel, and placed it down on the floor and just laid there. Shower still running. Baby still crying. I turn and see my baby screaming at the top of her lungs, her face bright red like a demon, and I just wanted to.
You wanted to what?
Thing. John called and I put him on speaker. He hears the commotion and he immediately starts yelling, is the baby okay? Where's the baby? And as soon as she heard his voice, she stopped. Then he asked if I was okay, and as I was about to answer, he hung up. I walked to the room, just sit at the edge of the bed and just stare at the wall, feeling
Attention, please.
defeated and worthless.
Attention, please. Rapid response, 3 south.
Wow, that's crazy. I did hear that air drying is great for your skin, though.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope it's not too intense for everybody. But you know, with this film, I have won 24 International Film Festival awards. I've been able to receive 3 certificate of recognition, one for New York City, one for Nassau County, and one for New Rochelle. My next screening is going to be in New Rochelle Public Library, then Atlanta, then Chicago. If you do want to book a screening, just please reach out to me at behindthejoy.com, or you can email me at info@behindthejoy.com, and I'm very responsive. You can follow me on Instagram at Behind the Joy Film, and you can just Google me at Behind the Joy Movie, and you'll be able to find me. Thank you so much. And that'll be my time.
Thank you, Jamal. Yeah, that's intense, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. And New Rochelle, where is New Rochelle?
It's like Westchester.
Okay, so it's near New York City.
Yeah, New York City. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to try to do that. All right, thanks so much. If you have any questions or comments for Jamal, go ahead and put them questions in the Q&A, and we'll be getting to them at the end. Our next presenter is Dr. Kiera O'Shea, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Before I start, I'm going to set the tone with music. So I'm going to share my sound if you'll give me one moment.
The sound is not playing yet.
Up here bopping because I thought it was playing. So give me 1 second. Okay, let's try it again. Sound share. Share. No, I'm sharing my screen. Let me stop. It was just working, y'all.
There's a little box that you click when you're sharing sound. Did you click it?
No, remember we practiced. I did that. I'm sorry. It was working.
Okay.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
No.
No.
Okay, no worries. We're going to keep going. The song that I was going to share, I don't know what happened because we just practiced, but it was Kanye West, Hey Mama. And it was setting the tone for, let me stop this, it's setting the tone for what I'm going to share with you all. So before I even share my actual research, because this is based off of research that I am working on, I want to tell you a little bit about my daughter, because this is why this particular research exists. The title of my presentation is Centering Lived Experience Through Partnerships, Storytelling, and Innovative Programming. And as she said, my name is Kiera O'Shea, Dr. Kiera O'Shea. You're going to go to the next slide. On March 24th, 2021, my daughter, her name is Setinam Genevieve. She was born at 13 ounces. And she was born 3 months early because I had what is known as IGR in Nashville, Tennessee. She was born the sixth smallest baby in Nashville, Tennessee. However, she was born the sixth smallest baby in the state of Tennessee, the smallest baby in Nashville, Tennessee. And so I was unable to hold her for weeks. I had to watch her through the incubator. I had to learn something that was a new language basically for me, a lot of new languages, a lot of new words, ventilators, corrected gestational ages. I had to figure out how to navigate a system that was not designed to explain itself to me. Even with the 5 degrees now that I hold, it was hard for me at this time to understand what exactly was going on. So when her story became public, so many people poured into me. They sent me emails, many from adults who had been born prematurely themselves, from church members. And a professor actually wrote in an email, I said, setting them up an email, and it said from one preemie to another. And that professor was a stranger to me. However, they showed up for me. She had information that I needed. She shared that information with me. And so at that particular moment, that single email from a completely strange person that I had never met, that is the beginning of actually my research. And as I think about it, it was probably even a component of my dissertation, and we'll talk about that momentarily too. But just so you all know, Setinam is 5 years old now, and she is thriving. She's doing really, really great. We can go to the next slide. So a question that sat with me, and it's a rhetorical question because many people don't ever experience having a 13 ounce or let alone a micro premature baby, is what does a mother need when they're having a baby, but let alone what does a mother need when their 13-ounce daughter is fighting to survive? And so the answer is really not complicated, but it's also not that simple. She needs information. She needs not just the data, but the ability to learn and to understand what doctors are saying, to know what questions to ask, and critically, to know that she has the right to ask them. Because many times we don't realize that we have the right to challenge doctors to make them, in a sense, tell us what's going on. But particularly with Black mothers in medical settings, they're routinely they're talked around, and they're talked past. So knowing that you have the right to ask is not a guarantee. It's something that we need to set the tone for. And I think about one thing that happened with my daughter. Her oxygen level was going down while she was in the NICU. And I went to the head nurse to ask the head nurse if they could change her, if they could change her location. And once they changed her location, she actually started to thrive. And one of the reasons I asked for this is because I listened to some of the nurses that were talking and their negative spirits were around. So the parents, particularly again, the Black moms, they need information wealth. It's an accumulated knowledge, networks, and navigational skills that allow a person to move these systems designed to be helpful for them and to actually help them survive. And this is not something you build in a crisis. It's something that you're going to bring with you or that someone brings to you. And so she also needs what I'll talk about in a moment too, are information allies, a trusted person who bridges knowledge. And it might not be one person, it could be 10 people, it could be 20 people, but they're information allies that are going to help her to become successful. And so who translates this? Who advocates for her? Who connects her? Not an outside expert, not a gatekeeper. For example, with the professor who sent an email from her own experience, that's a great example of what an information ally is. So the same information deserts that leave communities without health literacy. Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. Without health literacy, it's this without historical literacy and the navigational capital to survive systems designed to exclude them. Information is health, information access is health equity. And so those are not metaphors, those are things that we actually need. The next slide for me, please. So as I share, my personal experience became my research. And I am working on a separate research. And all of this comes, the two phrases, they actually come from my research for my dissertation. But I'm actually working on another publication that should be coming out by sometime next year. But it focuses on my NICU journey. And so this is why it is important to share your story. And I'm learning this actually even in my job now, my new position as a research assistant, centering on oral histories. It actually validates my dissertation. This study is particularly that I'm doing my research on is examining how Black mothers with doctoral degrees, I also have a law degree, how we navigate information environments. But again, for this particular publication, is only focusing on my dissertation journey. And so I'm looking at information wealth. Information wealth is actually built on Tiffany Yoso's community cultural wealth framework that was coined in 2005. And it pretty much states that information is not at all limited in marginalized communities, but it has been systematically undervalued, suppressed, and denied institutional recognition. So building on information wealth is the equity intervention that we need. And the second is a concept that I'm also introducing through my dissertation research, which is information allies. It's a trusted person that's embedded in or deeply connected to a community who serves as a bridge, not a gatekeeper, but they're translating for us. They're being an advocate. They're not necessarily an outside expert, but they're not a gatekeeper. They're a trusted person, an ally who helps communities access, interpret, and leverage information on their own terms. So again, thinking back to the example that I just gave you about the professor that sent an email when my daughter was in the NICU, she wrote me from her own premature birth experience, but she was not credentialed in neonatology. She was credentialed in a lived experience. And we oftentimes fail to understand that lived experiences are really key to just life in general. But she passed that on. And the passing on, the act of trusted information sharing across shared experiences, that's what I'm looking with my publication. So the emphasis is, again, information ally. You can move to the next slide, if you will. So being transparent, one of the things that I really, really believe is my credentials. Yes, they're evident. It's evident that I have the credentials to do the research, but I also realize, especially working on my dissertation, that it's not necessarily about your credentials. It's more so about your journey, in my opinion. My daughter, looking at my daughter, she's the outcome. So everything that I have done with her and me sharing information that I've done with her, that has helped me become an expert in being a micro premature mother. So although I have a BS, a MS, a MLIS, a JD, a PhD, that, in my opinion, does not account for the lived experience doctrine that we're actually looking at. So again, in the midst of all that I was going through, not being able to hold her, hundreds of so many, not it was actually a couple of hundred of people that wrote emails to her to I was sitting reading these emails to her. They showed up for me. And by me sharing that part of my story, that's more, in my opinion, more beneficial. Our stories are key. If you'll move to the next slide for me. So what information wealth looks like on the ground. So what does this look like in practice? What does it look like when you actually build information wealth and become an information ally in a community? Looking at libraries, looking at community centers, looking at Mr. Jamal Smart, he just talked about producing a movie. Like what does this look like? Here where I work at the University of South Carolina in the Center for Civil Rights and History, I'm actually doing oral history work within Black communities in Columbia that could have been systematically erased if it were not for Dr. Dr. Bobby Donaldson and the amazing colleagues that I've just been able to start working with. Also, sitting with these elders or sitting with elders. I don't know if you've all ever have sat with elders, but sitting with them, recording what they know, connecting living memory to archives and libraries so that knowledge does not die with the people who hold this. That is what information allies do. That's what oral history preservations, that's what it looks like with equity work. And also libraries. You think about libraries, they are the most democratic information institutions that we actually have. So when they partner with communities, not just serving them in the typical capacities, but they actually become information allies, going on the ground, having resources. There's so many libraries now, public libraries, where they have therapists there. They have just medical professionals there to help out with the communities. But when they become these information allies at an institutional scale, that right there is so beneficial. So that is the distinction that I want you to think about as I continue with this session. Not serving, but partnering. Not delivering, but actually taking the time to co-create. So oral history preservation is actually health equity work. In a community that knows its own story, that has trusted allies preserving its history, it becomes a healthier community. And you can go to the next slide, please. So what is needed to do this? Explicitly, I believe that this particular concept of sharing your lived experience, it deserves to be said out loud. It deserves to be said out loud because, one, you're able to connect with people who might be struggling. We have been operating under so many false assumptions that the evidence it doesn't support anymore. So, for example, an old assumption was that communities lack information. The new understanding is that communities actually possess rich information, but it has been systematically undervalued and suppressed. And we have to figure out a way to ensure that these stories are being told. Our job is not to deliver information to empty vessels, but our job is to recognize resources and amplify what communities already know. The old assumption was that libraries, they serve communities, but we need to look at it as libraries can partner with communities as trusted information allies by co-creating, not just delivering. The relationship is actually horizontal. It's not vertical the way that we automatically assumed before. And another old assumption was that health equity is a medical issue, and that's false. As I've studied, as I've been researching, the evidence demands a broader frame. Health equity, it requires information equity, the right knowledge from the right trusted source at that right moment. That is a library issue. That's an archives issue. That's an oral history issue. So the same systems that determine whether a 13-ounce baby, my 13-ounce baby survived, are the same systems that determine whether a community story survives. Information wealth, it held and shared by trusted information allies, is what makes survival possible in the NICU and in everyday archives. If you go to the next slide for me. So what exactly does this mean? What am I saying? So I'm saying several different things. The first thing is invest in oral history programs at libraries. Every story recovered is a health equity intervention. Partner with communities whose libraries have been suppressed. Bring their stories into archives. Fund this work. Advocate for this work. The second thing is treat storytelling as scholarship. Lived experience. It's actually data. Information wealth, it serves institutional recognition. And so the next time someone at institutions, they dismiss community knowledge as an antidote, push back towards that, but name it as information wealth. We need this to make sure we're passing it forward. Give it the weight that it deserves. The next thing is become an information ally, not a gatekeeper. Trusted partners who show up with listening and also being humble. The question is not what does the community need from us. The question should be what does this community already know, and how do we stand behind it and help them to deliver this information that can be beneficial to their own community. And then fourth, connect health equity to information equity. Every single domain represented in this summit, I'm assuming today, is also some type of information access domain. Maternal health, mental health, housing, food access. Every single one of these crises is also an information crisis. Libraries, archives, they sit at the intersection of all of this. So I want to close with setting on. Setting on is now 5 years old, and she's here because my information allies, they showed up for her. Doctors who knew what to do, who allowed me as her mom to make decisions based off of other information allies that came to assist me, that came to provide their experiences for me to make sure she was thriving. But I'm her mother who had to learn to navigate a system, hundreds of strangers who reach back again across these emails. And I still actually get periodic emails from her, but they're sharing with me, you will survive this. And so the communities whose stories I'm preserving, even at the Center for Civil Rights, they deserve the same thing. Their stories deserve to survive. Their knowledge deserves to be passed on. So this is what overall I am sharing with this presentation, that is what health equity in action actually looks like. So thank you so very, very much. I look forward to any questions or any comments that you all have. Again, my name is Kiera O'Shea.
Thank you so much. This is just amazing for our last session, just like so rich and full. I'm really excited about it. Thank you. Thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
Our final presentation is Tim and Luckson, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Julie. Kiera, I just want to say, as a grandparent, I had my twin grandsons were preemies, like 2 months early, and one of the grandsons had open heart surgery at 2 months, and he was on methadone to get him off of painkillers. So I know about everything you say is so true, that you really have to work hard to get the information and find the best doctors, and it's just it's a real travail, but I'm happy for you that it all worked out.
Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate it. Yes, you're right. It is.
Uh, so I'm here to talk about a film I made a year ago. It's called The Calling, a Medical School Journey. And it was sort of years ago, I watched a similar film that Nova had made at Harvard, and that was called, looking for a doctor. And I decided to do a similar film, but I wanted to do it in an urban environment. I wanted to focus on students, medical students of color, because as most of you know, uh, the medical world lacks, African American and Hispanic doctors, and it's really key. And I think Kiera obviously would have helped her to have access to more doctors of color, during her travails in the NICU. So we looked to find a place to do the film, and Einstein Medical College agreed to let us come there, and that's in the Bronx. So it was actually ground zero for COVID in New York City. It had more fatalities there than any other hospital in New York during the COVID epidemic. And working with Einstein, we were able to identify 8 students of color, some first year students, a third year student, a fourth year student. We kind of left out the second year because it's sort of like the first year. So, but the third year is when you begin to sort of work as different rounds. And in the fourth year, you begin looking for your residency. So it was sort of important kind of stages in becoming a doctor. To make the film, we raised over $1.5 million from the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, the Sloan Foundation, Burroughs Wellcome Fund, and the Blavatnik Family Foundation. So we did this sort of, in the early, around 2021. So people were very open to the idea of doing a film on the medical students of color. We shot for over a year, and we also asked the students that we were profiling to use their own iPhones to capture their own feelings and emotions, to bring their personal views into it. And it was really it was a cinema verite. There's no narrator. It's all told through the students themselves. We don't have a lot of faculty members talking about it. It's really from the student perspective. Um, and the goal was, of this film is to show it at libraries, show it at colleges, show it at community colleges, HBCUs, to inspire students to see that, they can become doctors and they can make a difference. And it's really been one of my pleasures to screen it in libraries and high schools and actually have panels. And one of the great places we recently did it was my alma mater, Brown University. And we got a great deal of help there from Luckson, who I now will turn it over to you. He's the director of the pathway programs at the Albert Medical School of Brown University. So Luckson,
Awesome. Thank you
back
so
to
much,
you.
Tim. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you to everyone that's here. Really grateful to have to be part of this and to have listened to the past 2 presenters. Really powerful things they're sharing here. And so my name is Luckson Omoaregba. I serve as the director of pathway programs at the Warren Upper Medical School. I'm also a doctoral student, getting my doctoral degree in educational leadership at Johnson Wales University. Research is focusing on medical student socialization. It's really, really important. Such a critical moment for us to be able to be introduced to Tim and to showcase a documentary that was really and the way he kind of described it is perfect. It's really from the medical student perspective as they're transitioning from first year to second year, third to fourth, and then fourth as they kind of transition out. And all the students who are part of the documentary having several different perspectives, right, and what they were, adding to the film, but really speaking to their experiences and their transition. And I talk about this all the time. What I really do appreciate it about this documentary is that at the surface, we're talking about students from underrepresented backgrounds who are entering this field that is incredibly critical, especially as it pertains to health disparities that we currently exist. And we're talking about health equity, but also how they're changing their lives with their families. But one of the other things I really appreciate about the documentary is that there are some nuanced conversations about medical education that students are having that I don't think it's kind of very hard to capture. In the research, we talk often about the hidden curriculum of medicine. I think all the different professional spaces have this idea of the non-normative concepts and skills and perspectives that are not oftentimes talked about, but are really critical for your success. And in the documentary, you see all these students talk and kind of battle with these parts of medical education that are critical to their success, and the contradiction that also exists between what they learn in the school and what they see in a hospital. So I really do appreciate Tim for putting together, especially being able to have the students kind of share their perspectives on it. But yeah, I think we have. I'll pass it right back to Tim.
Okay, thanks, Luckson.
Mhm.
I wanted to give everyone a feel for the film, and so we're going to show you a short 6-minute profile of a fourth-year student, Lashana Fennessy. She grew up in Harlem, where she lost several members of her family to gun violence. So let's take a look at Lashana.
When I was 14, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. But the only idea of college that I really had, because I was the first one to go, was, oh, you go to whatever school wants to give you a scholarship and you go play basketball. College is super expensive, and I knew my family couldn't afford to take me to college. Basketball just, like, focused me and, like, shifted my mindset to a different goal than people that I grew up with. All right, so here's my white coat ceremony. And that's my little sister and my little brother. And then my mom's in the middle. This was Christmas, the first Christmas after my brother passed away. He was murdered the June before I started medical school. Throughout my life, I went to public schools, and they never really prepared me for the next level. College was hard. I was not prepared for the workload at all. But coming into medical school, I'm like, all I have to do is pass. If I pass on my tests, I know I'll be a doctor. So this year, I will be applying to radiology for residency. I'm still working on finishing up my personal statement. I'm struggling right now. Like, what picture do I choose? Like, being conscious of, oh, if I wear my curly afro, is that gonna prevent me from a school, like, looking at that picture, be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't interview this person. I don't want, like, my hair to be something that would stop me from getting interviews. A lot of people that look like me are the nurses in the hospital. Even now, like, if I'm on rotations, like, I'll get, oh, my nurse said this, this, and this after they had a conversation with me. Like, we're not expected to be the doctors. And I wanted to, like, push that boundary. Representation matters. It really matters.
What are the first words that come to your mind when you think opioid addiction?
Everyone says residency is super hard and super demanding. It's like one of the most challenging times of your career. It's 6-day work weeks, and you're probably working 12-hour days. They say medical school is where you get your degree, but residency is where you actually learn to be a doctor. I think my top choices right now would be UNC and Duke. So I'm super excited about that. So this is the park I grew up in. I learned how to play basketball here, climb trees, climb gates. This is sprinkler. We'd cut this water on and we'd have water fights here, cut this hydrant on.
This is the building I grew up in. This is where I moved to, right here, 104. And this is where their father actually got killed, right here. That store right there, their grandfather got killed when their father was small. When they were small, their father got killed right here. This is the spot where he fell. Right here.
That was 7.
7. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I heard the gunshots. I was upstairs on the 5th floor.
Yeah, she was up that apartment right there, up on the 5th floor.
All right, so what am I looking at? And this is how you're ranking the residency program.
Yes, the actual radiology program. I already established that Duke is #1.
We did establish that.
I think if I land at any of my top 6, I would be fine. So my plan for match day is to have my mom and boyfriend open up the envelope, and if my results is in my top 3, I'm gonna go back to my apartment with the rest of my family, and just like with signing day with high school student athletes, I'm gonna pick a hat of which program I actually end up at.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it, guys.
You just gotta tell me if it's my top 3.
Come on. Top 3.
Top 3? Bet. Are y'all ready?
Yeah, we ready.
Hey! I'm gonna let y'all know. Let's go!
I said they all wanted you. She's smiling and very
So today I matched at my #1 prelim program and my #1 residency program, which is both Duke. So we're moving to Durham, North Carolina this summer. It's just cool to think of where I came from to get to the point that I am now.
You had all the cards stacked against you. Like, you could have stopped at any point. Everyone would be like, yeah, I get it. But like, you persevered through everything and did well at it too. It's not like you just made it. Like, you did well.
Dr. Fennessy. So the plan is to probably get you home today. If the pain is pretty controlled and you're comfortable with going home, and hopefully we'll get you out of here today, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Sorry about the stuttering. I guess that's caused by being on the web. So just an update. Lashana is now married to Jeff and in her 3rd year of residency at Duke University Medical Center, and glad to be kind of out of the violence and chaos that haunted her earlier life. But she and the other medical students in our film are the exception. Only about 6% of medical doctors are African American, and sadly, the same number for Latinos. But research shows that when patients of color are treated by doctors of color, the medical outcomes are significantly improved. Meanwhile, our medical students spoke to us about how when they entered patients' rooms, and Lashana did this, they were often thought to be part of the food service or cleaning staff, not doctors. So bias continues to be alive and well in the medical sector. Meanwhile, the barriers for students of color to become doctors are numerous, including the high cost of medical education. But fortunately, in the case of Einstein and a few other schools like NYU and Johns Hopkins, alumni donations have now made medical tuition free for all students. But that's not the case at Brown, right, Luckson?
No, it's not.
And then there's the issue of standardized MCAT tests, the MCATs, and how these often discriminate against patients coming from our students coming from poor backgrounds. And then there's the stigma of the Tuskegee experiment, which also continues to cast a pall over African Americans thinking about medicine. But the best way to address that is for there to be more doctors of color. So now let me throw it back to Luckson.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you kind of laying the groundwork for why this work is incredibly important. We're talking about, health equity here, specifically within the healthcare system, and how representation of underrepresented individuals from racial and ethnic minority backgrounds, whether it be from Black folks, Latinx, Hispanic folks, folks from all types of communities, and how critical it is for them to be part of the solutions, part of the solutions for the problems that we have in the healthcare system today. And so it's incredibly critical that for the benefit of us all, that we have a well concerted effort to increase or to support the increase of diversity in health and medicine. Here at the medical school at Brown University, the medical school in its kind of, in its years is fairly new. It's only 50 years old in its current iteration. But we have been engaging in pathways work, right? So providing opportunities for students as early as elementary school. We just started working with fifth grade girls, all the way to pre-med undergraduate students to really expose them to what the careers in health and medicine can look like. We actually have been able to work alongside folks in pharmacy programs and nursing programs to kind of really collaborate on increasing access to the recognition for students, especially from underrepresented backgrounds, about what a career in health and medicine can look like. Along with that is really providing access, right? So we start with exposure, but then how do we provide access to the information that's really critical, right? We talk about in the documentary, there's several like key pieces of information that students share about the pathway to medicine that is not always accessible. Even before I started working at Brown, I was incredibly demystified about this idea of medicine. Medicine, still feels very like a gate kept thing. But as I continue to learn about the pathway and really understanding what it really took, it's incredibly hard, but it's not impossible. And so the challenge is students are not aware of the actual process of trying to get into medical school and what it takes. And so we're trying to really, really do that by sharing access to information. And for the undergraduate students we work with, looking to build on that also. And then furthermore, it's really about success, right? So we have undergraduate programs where we actually have students who may have made it to medical school. We have two students who are currently at Howard Medical School. We have a couple students who are in PA school. And it's really making sure that, again, that not only are they getting into medical school, getting access to the information, but they're also graduating and becoming doctors. And like I mentioned earlier, the benefit for us is both a justice imperative, but also a humanistic imperative, right? It's critical for us to engage with as many students as possible to really solve the problems that we're having in the future. And so that's a little bit of some of the ways in which that we're working, especially at the medical school.
And I just want to say, if libraries want to screen this film either virtually or in person, you just have to go to our website, which is thecallingfilm.org. I put it in the chat, the link to it. And I know the screen I had with Luckson at Brown, there was one student there who was like a 30-year-old, from Latin America. And she asked the panel, she said, I think I might be too old. I love medicine. I want to be a doctor, but it's a long road to becoming a doctor. I just don't think I should do it. And the panel and Luckson, just said, it sounds like you already made a decision that
Exactly.
there are older people who do this and it works out. So, we were very, these panels work out well. And, the film is basically to really inspire people to
Absolutely.
pursue a career in medicine. Thank you. Thank you, Luckson.
Of course. Thank you, Tim.
Julia, back to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to everybody. That was great. I watched that scene already. Well, I saw the film and then I watched the scene when you sent out the link, and I watched it again now, and it makes me cry every single time. It's really emotional for me. There's just so many.
And there's 8 more stories like it in the film. I mean, we found some incredible characters.
Yeah, it's just really, really moving and so important, and so many different levels for the sake of the students, but also for the sake of communities, having a lot more diversity in who's a doctor is just so important. So thank you. All right, so let me see, there's something in the chat. Is there a cost to screen the film? I think you said it was free, right?
Yeah, it's free. Yep.
Yeah.
And it runs about an hour and 20 minutes. And it's been in, like Jamal's film, it's been in numerous film festivals and, but again, it was on PBS last March and the Wall Street Journal gave it an incredible review. So it's really a powerful film, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. All right, we do have some questions in the Q&A, and I'll start with, let's see, the first one is for you, Kiera. Did you see it already? Do you want me to read it to you? You didn't see it?
I see it. No, I see it.
Okay, I'm going to put it, so if you have any comments about that, and I will also see if I can paste it into the chat so people
I can add them into the chat, Julie.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Right.
You want me to go ahead and start?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so the question is from Desmond Kemp. Dr. Kemp, this is just genius. Dr. O'Shea, if you could reposition your study as a film as Mr. Smart has done, whose story would you tell first? Your story as a mother or your daughter? I think it's brilliant in seeing mothers navigate the communities. And I would actually tell my story first because I am an anomaly. Not only do I have a JD, I have a PhD, I have a medically challenged daughter who was born 13 ounces. She alone, I have a son that's 23 years old. He has type 1 diabetes and navigating all of this as a single mom. In addition, I was an only child. And having my dad, I was caring for him while I was here in a PhD program. So my daughter alone, I've taken her, made sure she's gotten to over 2,500 medical appointments, and 4 of them are at home weekly therapies. It's not including all her specialty doctors, and I've done this alone. So today, as a matter of fact, my high school, I'm from Newport News, Virginia, and I'm actually here in Virginia for the day. The principal of my high school, he was the coach at the high school when I attended. So 27 years ago, I graduated from high school on June 20th of this year. And as I stood in front of the students, I realized one, I hadn't been back, but I had so many people that symbolically raised me. My coach, the band room, not necessarily the band director is still there, but all of these people raised me. And I honestly felt like a Keela in a bee because all of these people, they were just cheering me on. And they were like, you really made history because people don't accomplish what I accomplished as a Black woman, but people don't accomplish what I accomplished as a Black single mom. But people don't accomplish what I accomplished as a Black single mom with a medically complex child. People don't accomplish what I accomplished as a Black mother with a medically complex child, but also a type 1 diabetic son. So everything about me, I know that someone someone was jokingly saying, they were like, you're like 0.01, like whatever's percent in this entire world. So I think that my story is important because it's not about, and I had to learn this too, it's more so about me being able to uplift the next person, like how I talked about information allies, information wealth. By me being able to give a piece of the information to someone else, to someone else, to someone else, then it helped inspire them. So I actually, one last thing, when I help today, help them pass out the awards, they had medals, shaking the kids' hands. And I had one kid, they looked at me and they said, "You really inspired me." So being able to do that, that's really needed, not just for, for people to go out and get degrees, but for people to see, like you all just shared in your documentaries, for people to see, oh, wow, she came from this. She came from this. She, didn't have all of this stuff, but she made it despite. So I think that that's probably the most important. And then from there, sharing, maybe it could even be a series or something where I'm sharing my story, but then also looking at it from the eyes of my son, who has been with me through all of my degrees. He watched me cross the stage in undergrad, and then also a sense of looking at it from my daughter's perspective too, because she has autism, she has cerebral palsy, and she has a couple of other medical complexities that, but she's doing really, really good. So to answer that question, Dr. Kemp, I think that would be, that's my response.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to the next question. And this is for Jamal. And it's, Mr. Smart, if your film was placed into a curriculum, what type of course and what would students get from your film to inform their future work? Interesting.
So if my film is placed in a curriculum, I would like to be a part of the labor and delivery curriculum. One of my goals is to have my film be screened before you leave the hospital after you give birth. I know in some cases they have a postpartum movie, and one case they have the Shaken Baby movie. And the postpartum movie they have is from the 50s, and I really feel it's outdated. It doesn't apply to what we go through now. So I would love for my film to be played in front of every mother before they leave the hospital. And this a little thing that my film has been featured in two research papers for women who got their PhDs. But I would love for it to, to reach more people. I am working with a small team. Usually it's just me answering all the emails. So any recommendations, any warm intros can really help me to get this film in front of as much people as possible.
That's great. Yeah, it would be great to have people see all of these. The whole world should be exposed to the work that you are all doing. That's what
This was a heavy closer. A heavy
Can I
closer.
add one? Can I add one thing to you, Jamal? Another thing that I would have you look at is when I was in the hospital prior to having my daughter, I was in the hospital for about over a month. And I cannot remember what it was. It wasn't obviously I can't remember what the part of the hospital was, but I was on bed rest. And so many women lost their babies during that time. And so I used to blog all the time, and I still do blog, but I was blogging and the nurses would come to me to ask if they can share my blogs with other moms. So even, not just sharing it before they leave the hospital, but also in that particular area where moms who, have premature babies that, miscarry or whatever the case, that would be a perfect place. And maybe even add on to your documentary to look at that component of it. Also advocating for themselves, like when you're going there, when you're going for, postpartum follow-ups to make sure they understand the resources that are needed. Because I think about when I had my son at 23, I was 22, 21, 22, compared to having my daughter many, many years later, right? Just the access to understanding and the resources, it's just completely different. So I think that would antepartum is the antepartum unit.
Yeah, antepartum unit. And
Mhm.
it's very interesting because one thing is I'm creating like a whole Behind the Joy universe. I am creating a spinoff called Before the Joy. It is about a woman that has poor prenatal care, but told from a man's mental health perspective. Because I wanted to dive into the world of what does a man go through when a woman is pregnant, not taking care of themselves. Because usually the men still have to go to work, they still have to go out there and hustle, and if they have a long day, you still have to show up for your partner. And I just want to dive into that mental health aspect. Then I have another movie I'm working on. It's called After the Joy, which is going to be about stillbirth and domestic violence and how that can really tear up a family. So I'm creating like a whole universe, and I'm working with like psychologists and domestic violence victims and maternal mortality people to really build out these scripts because I believe using their real life stories to put into my films. So yeah, I am going in that route. It's just me and my little IT job that's funding it right now.
Yeah, thank you. Um, I just wanted to say before I go into the next question that I had postpartum depression and I after my second child and I didn't know what it was. No one had ever talked with me about it. And I remember I had to go up. I lived on the second floor of a building, and I had to go up these steep stairs. And I remember one day coming out of the apartment, and I had my baby, my daughter, in one arm, and I had the stroller in the other hand. And I remember thinking, I'm going to throw one of these down the stairs,
Yeah.
and so it better be the stroller. So I threw the stroller down the stairs, and then I went and talked to someone because I just didn't know what was. I remembered I couldn't remember what it felt like to smile. I just couldn't remember what that was, like what it was that you did. It just yeah, it was really hard and really
Really
scary.
scary. It's
Yeah,
a really
very, very scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like with all these pressures in the world, your mental just keeps going down, keeps getting chipped and chipped away, and I like to say it's not the first strike that hit the rock or the last strike. It's all those things that come up and it will just break you. So, I'm here to like spread awareness and, bring light to this thing. And that's one of the main reasons why I went to Rikers Island, because those women are forgetting about. And just to give a backstory, I'm not gonna yap too much. The reason why I went to Rikers Island is I watched a documentary called Pick Me a Road Out of Here, and they followed this woman who was chained to the bed for 45 hours of labor, and she gave birth while while doing that. And I said to myself, a woman out here suffering from, postpartum depression, anxiety, psychosis, what are the women in there suffering? And I like to say that on May 7th, next week, I'm going back to Rikers Island to showcase the movie again. And this time they're letting me interview inmates and they're going to share their postpartum depression stories.
That's really, it's so important. So at so many different levels, the fact that they get to tell you that you're listening and then also that you're going to be sharing it so other people can see that and recognize it and maybe get help or at least understand what's going on. That's really,
Like Kiera said, like our stories are very powerful. We need to keep the record of them, and there's no better source than the people who went through it. Lived experience.
yeah, yeah, agree. All right, there's another question. It's from Rachel, and I am from Providence and grew up near Brown. My parents still live there. I know it is a city with deep opportunity and resource disparity, so it's very disappointing that Brown is not stepping up with free or heavily subsidized tuition. Can you share more about how residents can advocate or whether there are community foundations like the Rhode Island Foundation have been approached, whether community organizations have been approached?
Well, just a little background on Einstein. It was one woman who gave $1 billion to Einstein uh, because her husband had worked for Berkshire Hathaway or had Berkshire Hathaway stock. With Johns Hopkins, it was Mike Bloomberg. So it's basically billionaires who are giving the money. It's not even coming from foundations. So, Luxon, do you want to take a little bit of this too?
Yeah, no, I certainly agree. I think that's, even with the way we run our programs, the Warren Opera Foundation is the one that actually funds a lot of the work that we do. It funds half of my paycheck, right, to do the work. So I think we're looking to kind of for philanthropy. I will say the university did start a college access program for Providence public school students. And so it started a cohort about 2 years ago now. And the work is really to support Providence Public School students through the college application process. And I know they're really aiming to provide at least a couple of spots for students through that program to gain access into Brown. I'm not sure what the financial support will look like, but I know that's one initiative that's currently going on right now. But I certainly agree there should be more ways to engage whether the university or future potential donors to allow access or grant access for students to come to Brown from Providence.
And one thing I wanted to add, the question about the curriculum for Jamal's film. We actually have a curriculum for our film, which is on PBS Learning Media. So, addressing to high school students. So if anybody is interested in that, they can just go to the PBS Learning Media website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to be a part of that. Now I get part of that.
You're muted, Julie.
I've only done it twice in the last 2 days. That's good, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah.
I have I usually have like a piece of paper that I hold up for people. You are muted. Any other questions from the audience or attendees rather, or you have questions for each other or any comments that you want to make or other stories you want to share? There's some comments coming in on the chat.
Luxon, do you have some more thoughts about how libraries could use the film?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Tim. I really do think just because the nature of libraries being a space where lots of folks and members of the community come together. I remember as a young child spending ton of time in my public library in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And so being able to host exposure days for different careers and health specifically. One of the biggest things that we try to do is supplement the work that's happening during the school day, right? So, the work that we do is really to engage and to encourage students to look at where the light at the end of the tunnel can end up. So when they're in math and science and English class, they actually see what the point is. And so by engaging with students in the libraries, bringing professionals in, helping them really find the spark and the interest for science and the human body, I think is a really, really huge way. Health literacy, I think we've kind of talked about it ad nauseum. We've been able to kind of use health education as a platform to help students like understand what is health and then how they can be part of the health solution. So I think engaging students specifically there, I think could be a really, really great way to do it. But also partnering with different schools, organizations, medical schools specifically. I know there are much more medical schools who are interested in engaging in pathway programs these days than before. So I think engaging with medical students specifically, and what you'll find out is that a lot of medical students have these kind of service learning requirements, right? So it works along with their curriculum. So it provides another opportunity for them to be engaging with young people in the community.
I'm thinking something else that would be beneficial. I don't know if you reached out to HBCUs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, matter of fact, one of the pathway programs we have at the medical school is actually 50 years old. It's with Tougaloo College down in on Jackson, Mississippi, and so we've had students from Jackson, from Tougaloo College, come to Brown, the medical school at Brown since 1976, through a specialized pathway where they get in their junior year in college, and so they're actually one of the kind of biggest things for us is to get them socialized into the medical school curriculum. So we're engaged with HBCUs at least through that one pathway program, but always looking for more ways to kind of expand that exposure.
Mhm.
Any other, let's see, if anybody posted anything? No? Other comments, questions, thoughts, observations, suggestions, anything? This has been really, really moving. There's just so much here.
Jamal, how long is your film?
My film is 53 minutes.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yours is an hour and 20, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I would love to see the full film. Maybe we can bring it to Long Island.
Yeah, that should be possible, right? Just reach out to some Long Island libraries or yeah,
Port Jefferson.
Yeah, there's Port Jefferson. Yes.
I'll take the ferry across from Bridgeport.
Oh yeah, it's right there. I definitely I worked there for about when I was working on the movie, I was working two jobs and I was working at the Port Jefferson Library and it really opened me up like the powers of the library and I held a panel discussion there and I told the library that I'm going to be on this and it was screaming. It was like, "Oh my God, really?" Yeah, and I like to thank Alicia to really get me here too. Um, and yeah, Alicia said it was presenting us at an event in Nassau on Long Island in the summer. Hopefully summer comes soon because I am tired of this rain.
I know it's cold and damp today.
It was cold. Oh gosh. But yes, I am yeah, it's 53 minutes. The movie is a narrative. It's a original story. You can go check out the trailer. I have a YouTube channel and I've done like interviews with parents and everything on the YouTube. I'm really active on Instagram because I'm a millennial, so I'm mostly on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram and very responsive and you can just always email me or go to the website and just check it out.
Yeah, that's great. Any last comments people want to make? Otherwise, I'm going to ask a completely off the topic question. Okay, so this is my first summer in New York City. Like, I am terrified of the heat and the humidity. I just hear nothing. Keep hearing about it. Is there any tips, like if I wanted to actually go out during the day and walk